What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the CotAcasT. My name is Brian. I started off a little bit out there. My name is Brian Bermudez, and I'm the host of the Craft of the Air podcast, the aviation podcast that's bringing you the untold world of aviation. And today, guys, for the first time ever, we have a female guest, and it's somebody that I really wanted to bring on the episode for a very long time. Somebody that I love very much, my younger sister, and somebody that's a new addition to Craft of the Air, coming in as a director of communications. Everybody, please introduce Asia Bermudez. Asia, thank you for coming on.
Hello, everyone. It is actually very nice to be here. I'm honestly such a big fan of your show. Watch it every day, every week. Of course, podcast all day, every day.
She's a very good support system. My sister's always been there. She's a very intelligent person. And one of the main reasons why I bring Asia on the show today is because my sister has some crazy experience traveling. She has this travel bug that, as far back as I can remember, this is before I even became an aircraft maintenance engineer or professor. She was always traveling from a very young age, and she's been so many places around the world that I think that her perspective is very unique. She's going to give some insight into this aviation program that we have. But Asia, let's start with you. For those of the people listening and watching that don't know who you are, I know you're in college right now, Queens College student, getting ready to graduate. But let's go back a little bit. Where did you grow up, and where do you grow up? Did you grow up in New York? And what were you like as a child? What were the things that interest you?
Well, I am studying to be a teacher, so ever since a young age, I was very much into, younger, that sounds weird, but I was always interested in like teaching younger kids and, watching and helping them grow. You are a teacher yourself, so you do understand the whole watching your students grow. You love helping them, improve themselves, improve their, learning. That's always been a big thing for me. I love trying new things. So that's definitely why I do have the travel bug because I want to go everywhere. That is a goal of mine to travel to all seven continents. On my bucket list, I need to, including Antarctica. I need to go to Antarctica. So, travel bug. I'm trying to go to as many continents, as many countries as I can. So,
This is and she's gonna have to bring me to Antarctica. But when I asked Asia about the travel bug question, she's had it since she was very much younger. She wanted to explore. That goes into your personality. You like being around kids, helping them, trying to get people to understand things. Is that something that you experienced right off the bat traveling, that you were like, you know what, traveling is something that I get to meet people and experience new things?
most definitely, the whole trying new things is what really did it for me. I am a big foodie, so also trying the foods there is a big thing for me. The people, the culture, because everywhere is different. America is its own separate place, own separate culture, but visiting everywhere else, you get the opportunity to see how everyone lives, how their hospitality is way different than ours. So it's honestly, it's like a breath of fresh air being able to visit anywhere and everywhere.
I know for me, Asia, when I was younger, I used to watch, like, there were certain movies and certain things like that people would say that would influence me. Like I would be like, oh, I would watch Harry Potter and be like, I want to go to London, or I would watch a movie and say, oh, I want to go to New Zealand. Was there specific things that you watched as a kid that you were like, wow, that's a dream of mine to go over there?
Growing up, I was definitely a big Disney fan. So Aladdin was a big one. Are you kidding me? I want to go see the Taj Mahal so badly. So badly. I remember as a child, we studied at school like the seven wonders of the world. I want to be able to see all of them before, that's a big thing. And I will probably get more wonders of the world, honestly.
Yeah. That's a really good point, actually. Nobody's ever mentioned that. So we speak about all the places Asia has traveled a lot, extensively on airplane. Asia was always coming out to hang out with me when I was traveling around working for different airlines and Seattle and Anchorage. So you've been so many places. I was trying to compile this list for our listeners and viewers, but you've been so many places that I think it would be easier for me to ask, what was the most unique place? I know you've been to Egypt, Paris, Italy. You've been to most of the Caribbean islands. You've been to Washington. What stood out the most to you?
Honestly, it's been my most recent trip when I went to Egypt, just because seeing the way that everyone there lives, seeing the way like they are hospitality wise, it was completely different than we are here. They're very any store I walked into, they were very welcoming. They made you feel welcome. They automatically offered you something to drink. And if you said no, it was like so offensive. They'd be like coffee, tea, soda, juice, anything. I was like, no, thank you. And they'd be like, I'll take water. I'm good, thank you.
I want to touch on that trip. You just came back from this amazing trip. You spent some time in Egypt and traveling. Now, being the aviation show, I got to get to this. How was the flight? First of all, how do you go about booking that type of trip? Because I know that your friends, when you travel, your friends entrust you to make the reservations and get the good prices. What do you use to make your travel plans? Do you use a specific app? Do you just kind of just browse?
I honestly just kind of browse. I just think off the top of my head, what would I want to do? And I kind of just fit everything around there. And honestly, I'm a big planner. I have to plan everything myself, so I'd make sure things are done properly.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that things flow. So when it comes to booking, I kind of just bounce all over the place. There's a lot of good websites that you can find like inexpensive flights. There are websites you can find, I don't know the names off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You can find that can make bundles for you for these trips. So makes it a little bit easier. So you don't have to do as much planning. So
Yeah.
that's definitely one thing I'm pretty sure your listeners would love to hear.
They
But
no, they're
yeah,
listening. They're listening. You guys better be listening. But I'll say this: when you picked a very interesting airline. I know this. I When I went to go pick my sister up from the airport, I'm looking at the text message, and she's saying Royal Air Morocco, and listen, I'm an
Royal
aviation
Air
guy.
Morocco.
Yeah, it was the first time that I've ever heard of it. How was your experience on this flight?
To be completely honest with you, it was not the best.
Wait, so, why? Why wasn't it?
Well, first it was a connecting flight, so it was coming back, so from Egypt to Morocco, then from Morocco to New York. Um, the first flight, the seats were just uncomfortable. For a 6-hour flight, the food wasn't the best, and honestly, I was trying to sleep through the whole flight just because I did not want to stay awake
Yeah.
for those 6 hours. Not appealing at all. But the food was just unappetizing. I did not eat anything. And even the flight attendant looked at me weird because I didn't eat anything on the plate.
And that's saying a lot because you are, and I'm not just saying this because she's on the show. She tries everything. My sister goes to restaurants in the city and in New Jersey that most adults are waiting to try. She'll try anything. She'll go out to try anything. And for you to say you didn't eat the food on the flight, that means that it was not very appealing.
I'm not a picky eater at all. And I always, the one thing I do, I will always try something. Just because it smells off, just because it looks a little weird, I will at least try a little bit, but no. The
How,
chicken looks I didn't even try it. It just looked,
it was chicken that they were serving. Interesting.
it didn't even, it looked like it was boiled chicken. I tried the bread. The bread tastes rubbery. I gave their chocolate muffin a chance. And I'm a chocolate fanatic. I love chocolate with my heart. That was the most disgusting piece of chocolate I've ever had in my entire life.
How do you get that wrong? A chocolate muffin?
How do you
Can
get
you?
bread wrong?
Yeah, better
There, let's
question.
get bread
Yeah,
wrong.
that's actually a better question. How do you get that wrong? All right, so the food was terrible, but your experience in Egypt, I think you had some pretty great food over there.
Oh, the food there was amazing. I want to go back just to go to eat
Really?
the food again. I remember the last night we went to some restaurant on the Nile, and I had asked the waiter, like, what would he recommend? That's a go-to. Whenever you're going to abroad, best thing to ask the locals where to eat. They know all the good spots, you know. Uh, Honestly, I wouldn't recommend looking stuff up online as much. Just more trust the locals. You could do some research on like TikTok, Instagram. Those are some good places to find restaurants, but I would say ask the locals. So I asked the waiter what he would recommend. He recommended this chicken dish, and it came with this green sauce. I don't remember the name. I wish I did. It was the best sauce I've ever had in my entire life. And he gave me like this big soupy bowl. It was so good. I wish I
It's
remembered the name.
it's very difficult for and she's just saying green sauce, and just by her expression, I could tell how good it was. I'm just looking at her like, yeah, I need to try that green sauce that you had in
It
Egypt.
was, no, it was amazing. That restaurant was just great overall. All the restaurants I went to were amazing, quite honestly. But
Is it a safe city to walk around? Do you feel safe there?
if, as a female, no.
Expand on that. What do you? It was safe for males. It seemed like, but not
It's
so much
more
for.
they're very much when as a female when you go over there everything's completely different. They're very conservative. Women have
Ah,
to dress a certain way,
yes.
so when I was packing I had to make sure I had nothing revealing, nothing tight. Everything had to be covered. The last night we did go for a walk. The trip, it was three females and one male, my father. So if I went anywhere I had to make sure I was with him. And that last night we went for a walk. And I remember it was after dinner. I was stuffed, so I had unbuttoned my belt. So I had a little bit of skin, like literally this much skin showing. And we're walking across with like all the locals. Apparently, like people were side-eyeing me, they were glaring at me. Mind you, shoulders covered, long pants, sneakers, nothing revealing, just this much skin. And people were already glaring at me. I was like, okay.
Culture shock, culture difference there. That's incredible. So you really had to be with a male there. That's an interesting perspective because I don't know many people that did travel to Egypt and kind of getting that perspective from a female, a single female, in where culture is taken very seriously. So I see that. Um, you've traveled to Paris. You've traveled around the country of France. You've been to Italy. Is the French for people your age in college, my college listeners and watcher and viewers, is it worth it? Is it all the hype going to France? Like people like, yeah, I went to France. Is it all the hype, or was it like, it was okay?
I mean, okay, for me, during that trip, I went to both France and Italy. I loved Italy more, just because the food there is
Mm.
amazing. I love Italy. I love the culture. I love everything Italian. Honestly, if I could move there, I would in a heartbeat.
Ah,
The food's there, the people's great, the beaches look amazing. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go, but they're amazing. Pompeii is in Italy. I did get to visit there. I would definitely go back again. I saw everything, but I would love to see it again.
that's a dream, actually. I'm not just saying this because she's on the show. I've always wanted you see so many documentaries about Pompeii, and to actually say that you went to go visit there, that's incredible. That's remarkable. Did you get the chance when you were younger age? I know you must have been much younger, but did you get the chance to see the ruins in South America? Or you didn't go that far, but you did
I've never
travel
been
that
to
way.
inland South America. I've only been like Caribbean, Dominican
Yeah.
Republic, Puerto Rico, Aruba, Bahamas. But I do need to visit inland
It
for sure.
saying that meant and putting that little list together of places that you've visited a lot of airports. What is your least favorite and what's your most favorite airport?
Now, one of my favorites, it's actually here at home,
Oh,
LaGuardia Airport. Beautiful. It is stunning.
right across the street.
It is
The
beautiful.
the new terminal is nice, right? The use is
Ama
beautiful.
breathtaking. I was like, oh my goodness. Like,
I was just talking to one of my students, and he works there, and he said he didn't want to leave the job because he liked working in the airport so much because it was so
it's
beautiful.
beautiful.
It's incredible. So LaGuardia is the nicest. I have to agree with her on that one. And now, what do you say is the least likely that you're not looking forward to to going back to anytime soon?
Not a place necessarily. Like, I would definitely go back to Egypt. It's just the airport in Egypt.
Mm,
Just because when I got there, it was like it was all over the place. Like, we were
chaotic.
with someone, and it was like, and plus, since it's hot over there, the airport was like, there was no air conditioner. It was extra like
Ooh.
sticky and muggy, and I was like,
How was the experience at the airport? You didn't have, was your flight delayed or you were pretty much good to go when you got there?
Um, for leaving Egypt to go to Morocco, my flight wasn't delayed.
Okay.
It's just from Morocco to New York. It was delayed. They didn't tell us anything. It was a little scary because
It,
Morocco is like Egypt. Women have to be conservative. And at this time, I was only traveling with another female, so we were kind of like on guard. New country, just because we are in the airport doesn't mean the dangers weren't still there.
yeah.
So we were kind of on guard, and then the flight delayed.
That's very interesting. That's interesting. When we I was thinking about this, and when me and Asia did a little bit of traveling and we were in Seattle, I flew in a couple of times to Seattle and we hung out there. And in comparison, like Seattle's a big Alaska Airlines city. Everywhere you go in Seattle, Alaska Airlines way. And you really saw that from a unique perspective. Is Seattle someplace, did you really get that significance of aviation there with Boeing, and we went to that museum, the Aviation Museum? Was that really significant in that city?
Oh, for sure. That like
Yeah.
the city itself, it's not huge. Seattle's not
Yeah, that's true.
as big as New York, but you can definitely see like the influence that aviation has, especially Alaska Airlines. It felt like every corner I was turning, not just because I was with you, but every corner I turned, Alaska Airlines or some kind of aviation. It was all over the place.
It was
But
interesting, and the food was pretty good. And she reminded me of something. Seattle is not the biggest city. It's like the perfect city because you get to explore it in a short amount of time and kind of go about it. Now, your your travels, and we spoke about like the culture shocks and anything like that. If you had to compare like one of the destinations that you visited that was most like the United States, would that be Puerto Rico? Like Caribbean islands? What would you say?
most like the United, I don't,
Puerto Rico.
not necessary. I wouldn't
Like
say
you
Puerto
ever
Rico.
like you know what I mean? Like you ever travel somewhere and you're like, wow, this is just like home, except like the street is smaller, or except like they don't have a bridge.
To be completely honest with you, if I travel somewhere, I try not to think about home because the whole point
That's
of
a good
traveling
point.
is to forget about home.
That's a
I
good
try not
point.
to think about what's going on at home, so I don't see any place like America. No place is like America but America. Thank
That's
goodness.
a good point.
So Puerto Rico, I don't see it as like America at all. At all. DR, not like America. France, not like it. Egypt, for sure, not like it.
No.
Italy, definitely not like it. The hospitality everywhere else is completely different than here.
Yeah.
Completely. So I never try to like, I'm not gonna say I don't like to compare places, but I never think any places are like America. So
I love the way that she put that actually. When you've had it, you've done a lot of traveling, and we know that we've heard a lot on the news about cancellations and messes going on and people getting irate and causing scenes. Luckily, you haven't experienced any of that on any of your flights, or have you experienced any situations in any airports or in a plane that you're like, oh, what's this happening? Is this actually happening?
honestly, no. The worst experience I had was with Royal Air Morocco. That was like my worst experience with any kind of airline. I on like if I'm flying somewhere, I try my best to make sure it's a reputable airline. That was the first time I didn't because first off, their ranking, if you looked it up, please look it up. It is so low. It is so low. It is something like 14,000.
Wow.
Yes, it is so low. The reviews for it are terrible. Luggages are always lost. Flights are always delayed. Like people say it's a scam. So honestly, that was the worst experience I've had. I've never flew Spirit. I don't plan on it anytime soon because I'm terrified of getting luggage lost, getting my flight delayed, or no. I I
Do you have, I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but do you have a more of a sense of comfort being in aviation, knowing that your brother, I teach it, I fix them. You kind of know. You hear me a lot teaching. You hear a lot about aviation whenever I'm around. Does it give you more of a sense of comfort that you're like on a plane and you're like, I know this is, I know AMPs are trained amazing and they're gonna take care of this plane. Or are you kind of thinking of it in the back of your head like, man, I don't know how they're gonna fix this thing.
Oh, no. Now, since like, yeah, I have you, I know for sure. Like A&Ps, you guys know what you're doing because the what it takes to get your license. Yo, round of applause to everyone who has their license and is trying to get their license because that test sounds brutal.
It it
I
is.
could never sit and do that for that long. So props to you guys. And you guys are crazy smart for remembering all this.
It's a lot of memorizing.
So I most definitely trust you. And because of you, I know that for the most part, planes are on autopilot.
She's right. She is right, ladies and gentlemen. But I gotta stop. I gotta give the credits a little more credit to the pilots when I can. When I forgot to ask you this, Asia, when you mentioned it before, you 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 mentioned luggage on Air Morocco. You do a lot of traveling, and I remember every time that we've traveled together, you don't bring like a whole bunch of maletas with you. It's only one luggage, and you do a really good job packing. How do you do that? Like you plan out your outfits?
Oh, I definitely do. Most definitely. I plan
Okay.
outfits, backup outfits, all that. But the thing is, if I'm going to travel, my big thing, I hate having to check luggage because my biggest fear
Mm.
is getting my luggage lost. No, I need a carry-on. I need a carry-on. I need it with me in the plane. I If I'm going for 2 weeks, I will still pack a carry-on. And best believe I will pack like 18 outfits for a 2 week trip. Why? And it'll still fit in my carry-on. I like to be over prepared.
Is it your folding technique? How do you fit that many outfits? I know females bring a lot of stuff with them sometimes.
Sometimes we like to be over prepared because if something happens with one of our outfits, we have another outfit ready to go.
It's
But it's not only the folding, but it's also the way you place it. So you have to just make sure that, things the rolling up your clothes is a really good technique. Or if you're gonna fold it completely flat.
Yeah.
I like to roll my outfits just because I like to see my outfits together rather than just folding them on top of each other.
That's a good point.
So I
That's a
like to
really good
fold
point.
them, make them nice and neat, and then I have enough space. Enough space for my stuff.
Ye-
Well, it's completely packed, but you know what I mean.
It's in that carry-on. That's perfect. Um, being a single female traveling a lot, do you have any, advice or recommendations for maybe single females that are out there that are thinking about traveling? Some of them may be a little bit apprehensive about traveling with crime. What type of advice would you give them?
For sure, do your research about the country before you head over there. If I didn't do my research about Egypt before going over there, I would have wore what I wear every day here. I
Mm.
mean, you can clearly see my shoulders out now. No, it's not a good thing.
No,
Thank goodness I did my research before. Um, Make sure to always have cash on you and always be on alert. Always be on alert because you don't know this place.
no.
It's completely new to you. You don't know the dangers. It's the same thing here. So always be on alert. Share your location with anyone and everyone you have in your contacts. Make sure your phone is always charged.
That's another good point. Yeah, I forgot
Your
about that actually.
your phone should always be charged. That's a big thing for me. My phone always needs to be charged, or I try to. I always have a portable charger with me. I always hold on to it because if I put it in my bag, someone could pickpocket it. Another big thing is if you plan on bringing your wallet, just be very, very cautious. You don't have to, you could bring your whole wallet with you, just you don't have to carry your whole wallet with you at all times. Because all you really need is cash, your card, and ID. You don't need that Subway gift card in your wallet. You don't
No,
need your Sephora card. You don't need that.
A
Pat,
lot
like
of
if you're
people do that. They put everything that they have, everything they own in a bag just because they're traveling.
no, I like if I'm gonna walk around an unknown city, I pack light. I like my purse, I walk around the city with a light purse. Because if I hope it never does, if it ever gets stolen, pickpocketed, there's nothing really in there. So that's like another thing that I would definitely say. But do your
You
research for
you
sure.
you and you have to, and that's a really good point that she brings up. If you can share your location, then people always know where you are. That's another sense of security there for people traveling alone, especially like Asia mentions, in a place that you don't know what this place is about, know anything about it. When you look forward now, before I get into that, now you're almost close to getting graduating, and you're studying to be a teacher. You're doing early childhood,
Yes, I'm
so
studying
you have
early.
a lot of patience. Asia, you have.
Surprisingly. Surprisingly, I do. For someone who's so impatient, I have a lot of patience. It makes
it,
sense.
it's like transitioning from being in high school. Asia went to a gifted and talented high school in Manhattan, and then you transition to going into college and learning early childhood. What's been the biggest transition as a college student? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
The biggest transition. I mean, it was a little different for me just because I did graduate during COVID. So
Mm.
it wasn't just the transition of high school to college, it was the transition of high school to online to slightly to hybrid classes to fully in person. So it's been something. I'm not gonna say it's been easy because transitioning from online to in person, it's something. And I know a lot of us still haven't fully adjusted to it. We do love online. Trust me, I love online
I like
classes.
it too. You should ask my students that were once here. They wish they were they're at home. No, I want to ask Asia one more question. I could keep going on and on asking Asia questions, but if on your bucket list going forward, you're so young, you have your whole life ahead of you. There's so many places you could visit, but is there one place that's always calling your name? Like one place that's always standing out?
I need to go to Greece. I love Greece. I love the history of like not just the history of art, because art is a big thing for me. So I would love to see the ruins. I would love to see the island when I visit, but I would love to see the I want to see that. I want to go to an art museum in Greece. I want to eat the food. I want to see the culture. I want to go to the beaches. I love Greece. I love everything Greece. But I would go back to Italy too, if anything.
I forgot to say that me and Asia love art. We go to a lot of museums together when we're traveling. We check out different museums, different art galleries. Is there any other city that compares in terms of art? Like, did you go visit anywhere and you were like, wow, there's a lot of art galleries over here, a lot of great museums.
Uh, it's Egypt, their museum, they had everything there. There,
Yeah.
I've never seen so many tombstones in my entire life. I saw actual mummies on display in their museum. Like an actual, like there was still hair on there and
Like four
everything.
thousand year old mummy.
I can show you the picture if you want. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, we'll look at it later. Yeah, wow, that's incredible though. So I kind of forget about that because I'm thinking about museums that we have like in New York City and around the country, and then you think about Egypt and they have actual mummies and pyramids. That's incredible. I forgot
Their
about that.
museum. They also had another art museum. I didn't get the chance to visit it, unfortunately. But their actual like Egyptian museum, some of the stuff isn't really um like it's not like America, like you know how everything's kind of blocked off or
Yeah.
like where you can't touch it. Some things are out where people can't touch it. You're not supposed to, but people still do. So it's not preserved as much, some of the stuff. Some of the statues are kind of just out and you see people rubbing it. And for me, it was a little bit of a trigger because I'm like, do not touch the art. Don't touch it. Why are we touching this stuff? I'm staring, I'm like, it literally says don't touch the art and you're touching the stuff right now. What are we doing?
There's a lot of people that travel and they don't have the same travel etiquette. as some other people.
People need to understand that the oils in our hands can mess up
I
the
would
heart.
be scared to start touching things like that in Egypt. I wouldn't dare do something like that.
Absolutely not.
Did you hear about that tourist in Italy that destroyed
Oh,
the
the anti.
yeah, what a anyway. Asia, we ran out of time. We're gonna have to have you come back on. This turned out a lot better than I even thought it would. But Asia is somebody that you guys are gonna hear a lot from. She's our new director of communications. She's getting ready to embark on a couple of new journeys, graduating from college and traveling around the world. Asia, thank you so much for being on this episode of the CotAcasT.
Oh, of course. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, pilots, aviation experts, all you smart
She's
people.
good. She's good. She's good. We'll be seeing you soon.